Hey, Sage. Hey, Danny. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Silence of the Hags. Who are we?
We're your hags.
We're your hags. Oh my god.
The
we
only
did it.
reason we got that was because we just recorded an episode before
Yes.
this one and we forgot in that one.
Don't think we're improving because we're not. But for real, how are you guys doing? How are you feeling? What's new? What happy? I mean, it's past the day when you hear this, but happy Joe Biden is the president day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How does
my god,
it feel?
so funny. So it was Nico and I's anniversary the other day.
Oh, what? Oh god. Happy anniversary.
Um,
Sorry.
And I was like, happy anniversary, but more importantly, happy last day of Trump's presidency.
Yes. Honestly,
Nico was like, yes.
agree. So, today we're talking another cult. And we're talking my first cult, your second cult.
Not that
Cults.
we've been in.
No, God no.
This is Sage's first cult. I'm experienced. This is my
Yes.
second one that I've been in.
I will be asking cult advice from Danny from now on. No, I don't want to be part of this cult. This cult sounds awful. Although, oddly enough, doesn't sound that awful until suddenly it's very awful. But I think
Sounds
that's...
like Nexium.
Yes. Exactly. There's going to be a lot of like, but this is kind of lovely. And then suddenly it's really not. So, honestly, I think this is a really long one. I don't think that I know that. So, what I do think is that maybe we should skip the chatter and just kind of jump right into it. Otherwise, you guys are going to be listening to this for the next 2 hours.
Don't you worry, because I can assure you that we will not shut the fuck up once we're done telling this story.
Yeah, honestly,
once
too.
Sage is done.
Yeah, you'll get the banter just later. All right? So today we are talking about the one, the only, the iconic Jonestown. So,
Sorry, I thought that was going to be a Nick Jonas pun, and then it wasn't.
iconic Jonestown?
Yeah.
I wish it was a Nick Jonas pun because then it would be positive. This is a chaotic episode already. So, Jonestown is the cult, okay? You ever heard drink the Kool-Aid? Does that ring a bell? Because it's pretty iconic and not really for any good reasons. The Jonestown Massacre, the Jonestown's tragedy, it's called a few different things, but what everyone agrees on, and there is no disagreeing because it is facts, is that up until September 11th, it was the most deadly single event with the largest amount of American civilian casualties in American history. So our story starts out the same as a lot of tragedies do, with a white guy.
Nice.
Yes. Hot takes. The minister of a predominantly African American congregation called the People's Temple, and his name was Jim Jones. So James,
It's a sick name though.
yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Anything like with alliteration is good, is catchy. I don't know what to tell you. So James Warren, or Jim Jones, was born May 13th, 1931, at Taurus, in Indiana. His father, also James Thurman Jones, was a disabled World War I veteran, and his mother, Lynetta Putnam, and then Jones, worked various odd jobs to provide for the small family. Despite this, his family was very, very poor. To be fair, they were living through the Great Depression. The home that he grew up in didn't even have indoor plumbing. His family left Jim to his own devices for the most part, as his mother was busy working nearly all the time, and his father was just not interested. When he was 10 years old, Jim started his journey with religion. He had been brought every once in a while to a church service or two by neighbors, but at the age of 10 is when the fervor truly started. He would visit various churches in Lynn, where he grew up, and for a while became good friends with a local Pentecostal minister. It's a little weird. He was like 10.
Yeah,
But they were quote-unquote friends. Jim, having always been a really smart kid, was quickly able to take what he had learned at previous services that he had attended and started preaching to other children in the area.
at the age of 10.
At the age of 10.
Damn,
Yeah.
Jim. Okay.
He was widely known as he grew up as a marvelous public speaker, although his extreme religious zealousness made it hard to make friends. He also was against what he considered to be quote-unquote sinful, so things like drinking or dancing. Footloose comes to life.
That's sinful tap dancing.
Right? Although, I'm not going to lie, that dance with, what's his name? Kevin Bacon in that abandoned warehouse is pretty sinful.
Oh my
But-
god. Sorry, I was thinking of Dirty Dancing. And I was like, the fuck? That's not Kevin Bacon. Ew.
How dare you? No.
How dare you do Patrick Swayze like that? Oh my
Okay,
god.
remember your 90s romances, Danny. Okay? That was in
Sorry,
the
that's my
90s.
bad.
What was that? 80s?
80s?
80s. Anywho. So, additionally, Jones was a well-known reader who studied historical figures such as Joseph Stalin, Karl Marx, Mahatma Gandhi, and the Piece de la Resistance, Adolf Hitler.
For fun?
Yeah, just for shits and gigs.
When he was 10?
No, he's older at this point.
Oh, okay. I was like a 10-year-old.
No.
No. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I would say
Stalin,
probably
Hitler.
like 15, 16 at this point. Allegedly, when he was younger than that, though, German prisoners of war were brought to his hometown. One saw him, patted him on the back, at which point Jimmy Boy gave the Hitler salute and shouted, "Heil Hitler!" Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I think I'm on some fucking government list for saying that now. So, the things I do for you guys. It is also, don't isolate that fucking voice clip, please. Jesus God.
That'll be our quote. Our next quote. Hail Hitler! Sage!
No. Guys, not a fan. I am not a fan. So, anyways, it is rumored that Jim's father was a Klansman. Of the KKK, obviously. And according to him, Jim, I mean, he didn't talk to his father for many years after his father wouldn't let Jim's black friend into their home. This to me seems a little fake after hailing Hitler to a literal Nazi. But it is what history states.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
Yeah.
don't think you can hail Hitler and also have friends who are...
Other than white, but who am I to say? Jim's parents split up and he moved to Richmond, Indiana with his mother. In 1948, he graduated high school early and with honors. After graduating, he got a job at a hospital as an orderly and met his future wife, Marceline Baldwin. Marceline was, at the time, a nursing student who was a bit older than Jim. They were married in 1949, only a year after meeting, and relocated to Bloomington, Indiana, where Jones attended Indiana University, Bloomington. During his time at the university, he saw a speech made by Eleanor Roosevelt about the rampant racism that was prevalent against African Americans. This apparently left a huge impression on him, as we will see coming up pretty quickly here. In 1951, Marceline and Jim relocated again to Indianapolis, and Marceline was described as kind and committed to helping others, in particular the poor and elderly. 1951 was an important year for Jim, as he also started attending meetings of the Communist Party of the USA, oftentimes with his mom, oddly enough. You know, father-son, or mother-son bonding time. Yes. Year of many changes. No. During this time, he would attend hearings for other accused communists, and during one of these, he witnessed his mother being harassed by the FBI for attending. He grew very angry and began to question how he could demonstrate his Marxism. For those of you who don't know what it is, because, God, I didn't know what it was until earlier, but Marxism is a political and economic way of organizing society where the workers own the means of production. Versus socialism, which is important because we'll be talking about socialism as we go through. This is a very political cult, oddly enough. Socialism is a way of organizing a society in which the means of production are owned and controlled by the proletariat. So Marxism means the people working the shit own it, and then socialism is the people who own the shit aren't working it. And finally, after wondering and soul-searching how he would be able to really get his views out there, he decided that he would infiltrate the church. Mm-hmm.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it worked, unfortunately. To Jones's surprise, it was very easy for him to get started, considering he had, I mean, other than, you know, caring about religion and going to church services, it was just like immediately he was able to get a job. And despite the knowledge that he was a communist, because also at this time, communism it was like extremely taboo. People like fucking commies was basically the sentiment. If you were a communist, people didn't really like you. So despite the knowledge that he was a communist, a Methodist district superintendent helped him get started. In 1952, he became a student pastor at Somerset Southside Methodist Church, but soon left. He claims that the reason for this was being forbade from integrating black people into his congregation. At this time, he had also witnessed a faith healing. During the faith healing, he witnessed the people and the money it attracted, and decided that would be how he would accomplish not only his social goals, but also where he would get his financial resources to do so. With this in mind, Jim decided... Oh my goodness, that was adorable. With this in mind, Jim decided to organize a massive convention in 1956. He brought in the then famous Reverend William M. Branham, a healing evangelist and religious author more commonly known as Oral Roberts. The name, not good. Oral Roberts? Not good.
His name is Oral? Like
Oral.
O-R-
Yeah. Like mouth. Oral. That's not his real name, but that's just what people called him.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
Oh.
Not cute. Or is
Are
it
you
cute?
It might be cute. I don't know.
Oh my
Never
god.
met the man.
Yeah, I guess that remains to be seen.
He's got nothing on Davy Jones.
Oh my god. People don't know about that yet.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh my god. With the proceeds from the convention, Jones was able to start his very own church. After going through several names, Jim and Marceline were able to settle on the name, the People Temple Christian Church Full Gospel.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The People Temple
Christian
Tristan
Church
Christian Church
Full Gospel.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a lot. Keep it Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, literally.
It was created with the intention of creating an interracial congregation. On the subject, a New York Times article reported, declaring that he was outraged at what he perceived as racial discrimination in his white congregation. Mr. Jones established his own church and pointedly opened it to all ethnic groups. To raise money, he imported monkeys and sold them door to door as pets.
What the fuck?
The monkey thing is actually fucking true. He literally would go around to people's doors and sell them monkeys. Where did he get the monkeys? I don't know, but he was selling them.
Well, that's crazy what was legal back then.
Right?
Wow.
It's literally nuts. And also, what was not legal, such as black people going to church.
Yeah, black people, you can't go to church. But yeah, you were more than welcome to go door to door and sell fucking exotic pets.
Over the next bit of time, Jim got more and more popular. In 1960, the mayor of Indianapolis made him director of the local Human Rights Commission and made a rousing speech, Jones made a rousing speech in which he yelled, "Let my people go!" Talk about...
I really hate to break it to you.
Yeah. Not your people. Talk about a fucking God complex. You are not Moses. That's literally what Moses said, homeboy. Additionally, Jones did help to racially integrate not only churches but restaurants, the police department, theaters, and amusement parks, the Indiana University Health Methodist Hospital. So the hard thing about this is he really did some good work, because he did actually, him opening that church that was interracial put a lot of pressure on everyone else, so everyone kind of had to follow suit. He would comfort families who were victims to racism. A lot of times there would be swastikas painted on the doors of black families, and not only would he go comfort the black families, but he would also convince the white people who were in the neighborhood not to move. And he would set up stings where he would write to well-known Nazi leaders, and when he got responses to his letters, he would share them with media outlets. So, when he was also accidentally taken to the quote-unquote black ward of the hospital, because this is the 50s, this is 1960, sorry. So, at this point, everything was still segregated. So, after he was accidentally placed there, he refused to move, and he even allegedly would make the beds of other patients and would empty bedpans.
Oh.
Due to his...
I hate that this is gonna... I know this is gonna go bad, but it sounds so nice right now.
Yeah, I know. This was a hard one because you just don't know how to feel. Because on the one hand, he was literally chilling and chatting with a Nazi war prisoner. But then he grew up and I guess saw the error of his ways. And then he grew up and then did not see the errors of his ways. So, due to his love of being in the public eye during these events, he did receive his fair share of criticism. Swastikas were drawn on the walls of the People's Temple. Explosives were left in coal piles to be lit. And threatening phone calls were made, and a dead cat was thrown at Jim at one point.
What?
Yeah. He didn't let any of this deter him.
Well, they always gotta bring, pets into this.
Because I think it's just, the worst thing you can do. What? Literally killing your pet, your cat. And just throwing, it's just, yeah. So, from 1954... up until 1961, Jim and Marceline adopted several children and had one biological child. They called this their rainbow family. The first... yeah. The rainbow family.
Okay.
So the first child they adopted was named Agnes. She was part Native American. And then there was Lou, Stephanie, and Suzanne. These three were Korean. Then they had their biological...
That is so distasteful.
What do you mean?
You're gonna adopt all these children from different areas of the world and
name
bring
it
them
your
into your
rainbow
white home
family.
and then call it your rainbow family.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It gets better.
God.
Then they had their biological child, who they named Stephen I think it's Stephen, Gandhi. Stephen Gandhi. They had high hopes for this boy.
Why just him?
Well, because the other ones came with names already.
Oh, okay.
They already had names.
Can't change them.
No.
No.
Apparently not.
Unacceptable.
They then became the first white couple in Indiana to adopt a black child, who they did rename Jim Jones Jr. And finally, they adopted their final babe, Timothy Glenn Tupper, whose bio mom was actually a member of the People's Temple.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot going on here. In 1965, Jim moved him, his wife, and his entire congregation to California. More than 100 members of the People's Temple followed him. First, they settled near Ukiah until they found their final home. No, that's not true. First, they settled near Ukiah until they found a new home in 1971, San Francisco. He told the people of his congregation that the world would be engulfed in a nuclear war and that they had to move to San Fran to be safe.
This escalated like really fast.
Yeah,
we're
it's crazy.
We're welcoming everybody. There's a fucking nuclear war coming. Yeah. We gotta go.
Yeah. He believed, apparently, that this war would create a socialist Eden. And during this time, he slowly started to admit his socialist views in sermons. And is quoted as saying, "Those who remain drugged with the opiate of religion had to be brought to enlightenment, socialism. And if you're born in capitalist America, racist America, fascist America, then you're born in sin. But if you're born in socialism, you're not born in sin."
Can't argue with that logic.
Yeah. So he's honestly kind of pulling like a full 180 twist here. As I don't know if you remember, but when he started this out, he was super into the religion. He loved it. And right now he's saying that religion is not particularly useful. Only socialism is. And also, before, he was a Marxist, which is the opposite of socialism, as I understand it.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, someone correct me, please. But to my knowledge, Marxism is literally the opposite of socialism. Yeah, so some inconsistency here, Jones. He's changing up his story.
Yeah, make up your mind.
Yeah. In the 70s, Jones continued to change his tune surrounding Christianity. He went from eat, sleep, and breathing it to calling it a quote-unquote fly-away religion, and saying the Bible was only a tool used to oppress women and non-white people. Used to oppress women and non-white people. Going...
He's not wrong. Poor execution.
Yeah, but the ideas are there.
You're on the right track.
Yeah. He even went so far as to say that the sky god was no god of his. He literally sung so far into the opposite direction that he wrote a letter called The Letter Killeth that was straight up him talking mad shit about the King James Bible.
Oh, okay.
It was around this time that Jim began to tell his congregation and anyone who would listen, really, that he was the reincarnation of Gandhi, Jesus, and Buddha.
All right.
Yeah.
All three?
All three of them. He's not just one. There were more too. These were the main ones.
Those are the big names.
Yeah,
How
those are the big
the
boys.
Reincarnated version
of Gandhi, Jesus, and Buddha at the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
just be Jim Jones.
Yeah, you got me there.
And according to a former Temple member, during one of his sermons, Jim said, "What you need to believe in is what you can see. If you see me as your friend, I'll be your friend. As you see me as your father, I'll be your father. And for those of you that don't have a father, if you see me as your savior, I'll be your savior. If you see me as your God, I'll be your God. And you're gonna help yourself or you'll get no help. There's only one type of glory, that's within you. Nobody's gonna come out of the sky. There's no heaven up there. We'll have to make heaven down here." So now he's just like straight up blaspheming. So it's a really quick procession, but you can honestly, it's starting to get a little, I think, probably scary for a lot of his cult members because he's literally saying that he's God.
Yeah.
From this point on forward, everyone was to call him the prophet. There you go. End of story. Quickly after this, Jones started to act a little more sus. He was using the income from the church for personal use, and he was getting called out for it in mainstream media. This, coupled with his already radical socialist and anti-racism views, was not a good combo for him in terms of social standing. During this hellfire of controversies, he decided to lay down the brickwork to make yet another move, taking along his steadily growing congregation with him. At this point, he had hundreds of followers, and he wasn't planning on letting them go. In 1976, he purchased land in Guyana, which was a newly... Guyana. Guyana?
No idea.
Thank you.
I don't know why I'm asking.
Well, he purchased land in Guyana. Okay, that's what we're going with. A newly settled, Guyana is a newly, or was at the time, a newly settled colony in South America. And he purchased it with the People's Temple money, of course. And he set up an agricultural commune named Jonestown. He had 500 followers with him, and they built that commune by hand, brick by brick. The idea behind the commune was to create a socialist paradise and a sanctuary from all of the media attention. However, this being said, it was Hotel California rules, as you can check in, but you can never leave. Not ever, for anything. Really? Not even like to go for pizza. Yeah, no, you literally can't leave. Once you're there, you're there.
That's terrifying. What were they threatened with? Nothing? I retract that question.
Well, they weren't really threatened with anything, but the thing about this is because they've been in this so long and he's slowly been turning and saying that he's the prophet, they actually believe that he is God. First of all. And he's convinced them also that there's a nuclear war that's going to be happening at any point.
So it's like, if you leave, you're either going to die in a nuclear war or you're going to hell.
Pretty much. Also, we'll get into it a little bit more, but he totally turned them against mainstream society, like 100%, in some pretty scary ways. So that also added into it for sure. But more on that later. After Jonestown was built, things seemed to be going wonderfully. Jones was heard saying, "I believe we're the purest communists there are." While Marceline, his wife, is quoted with saying, "Jonestown is dedicated to live for socialism, total economic and racial and social equality. We are here living communally." Jonestown, once opened, received rave reviews by nearly anyone who came to visit, with many political officials stating that Jim Jones was one of the finest human beings they'd come across, and that they were all tremendously impressed by Jonestown itself. Up until the summer of 1977, Jones had still been living in San Francisco. So basically, he popped down with his 500 followers, created Jonestown, went back to San Francisco and lived there, and let the 500 followers, he kind of like ran it from San Francisco, basically. So in 1977, he moved down to Guyana with hundreds more of his temple followers. So those 500 weren't even the entirety of the congregation. It was just over half. The last straw seems to have been an article that made allegations about Jim of abuse by former temple members. He moved the same night the article was published.
Sus.
Yeah.
Sir.
Like that
article gets published about you.
He's like, bye.
Fuck.
I'm
peace.
out. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
So after moving himself and the final hundreds of his followers, Jonestown was overpopulated with 900 members living in the community.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's not good. But, like, look at them go.
Yeah, that's a lot. And, yeah, it's kind of low-key impressive, but, like, it's not good. You know? It's, like, impressive that they could do it, but bad things happened because and from it. So up until Jim moved, life at Jonestown had been pretty low-key. What the fuck?
I hit my mic stand with
Oh.
I'm sorry.
All good. So up until Jim moved, life at Jonestown had been pretty low-key. Settlers from other parts of Guyana would bring fun movies for everyone to watch. You could go to school and study during the evening, and everyone basically shared responsibility of keeping things running. When Jimmy moved in, fun movies were changed out for Soviet propaganda shorts and documentaries on American social problems. School was traded for lectures Jones gave personally, and labor was redistributed so poorly that buildings and fields fell into disrepair. For many months after the move, temple workers were expected to work 6 days a week, 12 and a half hours a day, from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. usually, with only 1 hour for lunch.
God.
Yeah. Finally, in 1978, Jones's health took a bit of a hit, and Marceline took over some of the responsibilities of running the compound. The work schedule was reduced to 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. Sound familiar? Welcome to life. However, Jim still found it in himself to run mandatory activities, which were mainly lectures and classes on socialism, after the regular workday. Jones often compared his running of the community to his North Korean sister, which is 8 hours of work followed by 8 hours of studying. So with everyone exhausted and with no time to themselves, Jim put into the works his mind control techniques. He controlled completely the flow of information coming into Jonestown, and he totally took advantage of this, of course. He would often interrogate temple members about current events while lecturing them on how they ought to think and digest the news they were given. Political thrillers were thrown into screening rotations, and recordings of meetings easily show how quickly Jim would become extremely angry when anyone did not immediately understand the messages behind films, or if they didn't find it interesting. There was not a single bit of film or recorded anything that would be shown to a temple member without another member of the staff present to interpret the material, no matter how harmless it might have been. So nothing came in that you could watch alone and create your own thoughts about. Even, like, for example, even if, I don't know, if someone sent me a tape of a Julia Roberts movie, like Pretty Women, I wouldn't watch it alone. Someone would have watched it with me and would have basically told me how I feel about it.
Weird.
Yeah. Throughout Jonestown, there were loudspeakers up, presumably for Jim to communicate with his followers. However, they were actually used for constant broadcasts of Jones literally just bitching every moment of the day and night. They were constantly on. He usually spoke about politics, always casting the USA as a capitalist and imperialist evil land, while singing the praises of socialist leaders like Joseph Stalin. As if this wasn't bad enough by itself, which it was, you were not allowed to speak while the speakers were on. So, every second of the day, you're listening to Jim Jones talk, and you are not allowed to talk while he's talking on the speakers at all. So it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter who you're with, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, you can't talk to anyone around you without, like, it being in a meeting where everyone is listening to Jones speak, like, in person. Another hardship that temple members faced was starvation and malnutrition. While Jonestown had hoped to be a self-sustaining community, the soil on the compound was very poor and nothing would grow. Because of this, and also the amount of members involved, they had to import large and cheap amounts of food, such as wheat, rice, beans, and eggs. Meat was occasionally a luxury, but because of this shite diet, medical problems like severe diarrhea and high fevers were very common on the compound. Jim, of course, had access to fruits and veggies and meat whenever he felt the need.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, classic. Yet another, and perhaps the hardest part of living at Jonestown, were the punishments that were doled out on the prophet's whim. While there was no proper prison or solid disciplinary system, that didn't stop Jones from getting creative. Methods included imprisonment in a 6x4 by 3 foot plywood box.
A box?
A box, yeah. 6 feet long, 4 feet wide, 3 feet deep.
This sounds like the bunker, Charles Ng and Leonard Lake.
Yeah, it actually does. A little smaller,
A little smaller,
but pretty close. And he also would force children to spend a night at the bottom of a well, sometimes
What?
upside down,
For why?
if they were doing bad shit, like, I don't know, talking.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Being children?
Yeah, literally. And
You know what that reminds me of? The talking thing? Like, don't talk over the PA system in high school.
well, it literally is a PA system. So that's exactly what it is. Danny's high school was Jonestown, confirmed.
Can confirm. It's pretty fucked up there.
For some members who would attempt to escape the compound, drugs such as thorazine, sodium pentothal, chlorohydrate, Demerol, and Valium were administered in the extended care unit. Armed guards patrolled the area day and night to enforce Jonestown's rules. So, you're just trying to live your best hippie socialist life, and there's literally armed guards walking back and forth on the compound to make sure that everyone's following the rules, or they'll put you in a coffin, essentially, or they'll make your kid sit upside down in a well overnight.
God, that's awful. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Any children that were born in the commune were surrendered to communal care and were usually not allowed to see their parents. Jim was to be called father or dad, not only by the children in the compound, but by the adults as well. Jonestown had a nursery where, over the course of it being opened, saw 33 newborn children. Jonestown was almost completely run off of welfare checks.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Jim often would speak to the temple members about the safety of the commune, telling them that the CIA and other capitalist pigs were working together to not only close the settlement, but also to harm the members that resided within. During these lectures, Jones conducted what he called the White Knights. Knights with an Nights, no K in that. Important distinction. Essentially, he ran lockdown drills.
Nice.
As we already know, Jim often studied Adolf Hitler's leadership tactics in order to learn how to best manipulate his followers into blind obedience. He had learned to find a common enemy and to make it known who they are in order to unify his members and make them unquestioningly loyal to him. On at least 2 of these White Knights, mass suicide was rehearsed through the cult. Deborah Layton, a member of Jonestown who defected before the big tragedy, had this to say about one of those times. Everyone, including the children, were told to line up. As we passed through the line, we were given a small glass of red liquid to drink. We were told that the liquid contained poison and that we would die within 45 minutes. We all did as we were told. When the time came when we should have dropped dead, Reverend Jones explained that the poison was not real and that we had just been through a loyalty test. He warned us that the time was not far off when it would become necessary for us to die by our own hands. Unbeknownst to the commune, the temple had been receiving monthly shipments of cyanide since 1976, under the guise that Jones was making jewelry, because apparently you use cyanide to clean gold. Or you used to. That's actually a true fact. Super weird. As things on the compound were escalating, and as Jones was becoming more erratic due to his still declining health, an investigation was launched into Jonestown. A man named Leo Ryan, who was friends with the father of one of the temple members, who had shown up dead under very mysterious circumstances only days after having spoken about leaving the People's Temple for good. Ryan decided he would then visit Jonestown, representing California's 11th Congressional District.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Okay. He took with him a team of reporters, the deputy chief of mission of the U.S. Embassy to Guyana, a legal advisor, and more. When Ryan's squad showed up, they were initially refused access to Jonestown. However, by the next morning, they informed Jones that they would likely leave for Jonestown that afternoon, regardless of his willingness. So, basically, he showed up with his squad and was like, hey, we want to come see Jonestown. And Jim Jones was like, hell nah, absolutely not. And so Ryan was like, I mean, that's fine, but I'm going to show up whether or not you like it.
Oh, okay.
And so, sorry, 1 second, I lost my
No,
place.
it's okay.
Yeah, so said that they would leave for Jonestown that afternoon regardless of his willingness. Ryan's party, accompanied by temple workers, came to an airstrip at Port Kaituma, 6 miles from Jonestown, a few hours later. Jones basically was like, all right, fine. Fine, you can come in, but only 4 of you. Only 4 of you can come in. So Ryan accepted this. Him and 3 others went into Jonestown while the rest of his group was told that they could come in after dark. So Jones was like, well, we're not ready for visitors, so I'll take you and 3 others, and then the rest of your friends can come in after dark.
Fucking weird. Okay.
Yeah. That night, the Ryan and his friends attended a musical reception in the settlement's main pavilion. While the party was received warmly, Jones said he felt like a dying man and ranted about government conspiracies and martyrdom as he decried attacks by the press and his enemies. Classic Jim Jones. However, it was later reported and verified by audio tapes recovered by investigators that Jim Jones had run rehearsals on how to convince Ryan's team that everyone was happy and in good spirits.
What the fuck?
Uh-huh.
Okay, sir.
So, so that night, 2 temple members made the first move to defect from the cult. In the pavilion, one mistook a member of Ryan's crew for Ryan, so someone else in his group they thought was him, and passed him a note that said, "Dear Congressman Vernon Gosney and Monica Bagby, please help us get out of Jonestown."
Oh shit.
Yeah. A child nearby witnessed this and told the other temple members. Little snitching ass hoe. Ryan and a few team members of his stayed the evening at Jonestown, while the others, including the members of the press, were asked to find accommodations elsewhere. So, got this note. Some kid was like, hey, Vernon and Monica are trying to leave. And Ryan basically was like, okay, I'm going to stay here because I want to make sure that nothing happens to these people. And Jones was like, okay, but none of your friends can come in then. And so the other people found elsewhere to sleep. The next morning, after many emotional scenes, Ryan's team was ready to leave Jonestown, taking with them more defectors from the temple. While most of the Ryan group began to leave in a large dump truck to the Port Kaituma airstrip, so he met up again with all of his friends who had stayed at another hotel, and they traveled together to the airstrip. But Ryan himself and one other stayed behind in Jonestown to help with the process of if any more people wanted to leave. And shortly before the dump truck left, 2 temple members demanded to join the group. These 2 people were specifically known to be extremely loyal to the commune. Several of the defectors voiced their suspicions about their motives. Spoiler alert, the intentions were bad, like really bad. After everyone piled into the plane heading back to the States, the 2 loyalists produced guns and opened fire on the passengers in the plane.
Oh my god.
5 people were killed and 11 were injured.
Just because they were leaving?
Because I think it says here later, but I'll say it now. But because they knew, A, that their people were leaving, and B, they knew that there was going to be bad reviews to the U.S. and they didn't want anything else to happen. So I guess they figured if they just shot everyone, they could nip it in the bud.
Oh, yeah.
because that's how that works.
Yeah, no fucking biggie.
Yeah. So before leaving, and at this point, Ryan doesn't know this because he stayed behind at Jonestown. So, before leaving Jonestown for the airstrip, Ryan stated that he would issue a report that would describe Jonestown as in basically good terms. He mentioned that none of the 60 members who he had talked to and interviewed wanted to leave, and that the 14 defectors constituted a very small portion of Jonestown's residents, and that any sense of imprisonment the defectors had was likely just because of peer pressure and a lack of physical transportation, rather than like fear for their life. And even if 200 of the 900 plus had wanted to leave, Ryan said that I'd still say you have a beautiful place here. Despite the report, Jones told him that I have failed. Ryan reiterated that he was making a positive report, but Jones maintained that he believed that all was lost.
God.
Yeah. After Ryan's departure from Jonestown towards Port Kaituma, Marceline Jones made a broadcast on the public address system, stating that everything was all right and asking residents to return to their homes. During this time, aides prepared a large metal tub with grape-flavored Kool-Aid, poisoned it with Valium, chloral hydrate, cyanide, and Phenergan. About 30 minutes after Marceline Jones's announcement, Jim made his own, calling all the members immediately to the pavilion. When the assembly gathered, referring to Ryan's group going back, travel back to the States, Jones told the gathering, "One of those people on that plane is going to shoot the pilot. I know that. I didn't plan it, but I know it's going to happen. They're going to shoot that pilot, and down comes the plane into the jungle, and we had better not have any of our children left when it's over because they will parachute in here on us." So
What the fuck?
yeah. So I think that the plan with the two defectors was that they were essentially they were supposed to go into the plane, let it take off, and while it was in the air, they were going to shoot the pilot so that it was a plane crash rather than a murder.
Yeah.
So I think that was the plan behind that, but obviously something went wrong.
Poor execution.
Literally. Not funny. Okay.
Oh god, yeah, fuck. I was like, right, yes,
Yes.
execution is another word for death.
Yeah,
Right.
it is.
Got it.
Yeah. So there is an infamous death tape of this meeting. It's a 44-minute recording. After Jones confirmed that the congressman's dead, no dissent is heard on the death tape. Everyone accepts this. By this point, armed guards have taken up positions surrounding the pavilion area. Several other temple members gave speeches praising Jones and his decision for the community to commit suicide, even after Jones stopped appreciating this praise and begged for the process to go faster. So when he said, when the plane goes down into the jungle, we'd better not have any of our children left when it's over, he was essentially saying, it's time for us to go. This is the time.
Jesus.
Yeah. According to an escaped temple member, the first to take the poison was a woman and her 1-year-old infant. A syringe without a needle was used to squirt poison into the infant's mouth, after which she squirted another into her own. More mothers with their babies approached the tub containing the poison. Jones approached people to encourage them to drink the poison, and that, after adults saw the poison begin to take effect, they showed a reluctance to die. The poison caused death within 5 minutes for children, less for babies, and an estimated 20 to 30 minutes for adults. After consuming the poison, people were taken away down a wooden walkway leading outside the pavilion. It's not clear if some initially thought the exercise was another White Night rehearsal. When Jones saw the poison working on other members of the communion, he said, "Die with a degree of dignity. Lay down your life with dignity. Don't lay down with tears and agony. I tell you, I don't care how many screams you hear. I don't care how many anguished cries. Death is a million times preferable to 10 more days of this life. If you knew what was ahead of you, you'd be glad to be stepping over tonight.
Awful.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Mm-hmm. According to a survivor, most people sat and quietly and patiently waited their turn to die. This crowd was surrounded by armed guards, offering members the basic dilemma of death by poison or death by a guard's hand. Cries and screams of children and adults are easily heard on the tape recording. As more temple members died, eventually the guards themselves are called in to die by poison. Jones was found dead, lying next to his chair in the pavilion between two other bodies, his head cushioned by a pillow. His head was caused by a gunshot wound to his right temple that the Guyanese chief medical examiner Leslie Mutu stated was consistent with being self-inflicted. The date was November 18th, 1978. 918 people died.
Jesus Christ, that's so fucking many.
Yeah. That, like...
And it was, like, basically just, like, mass suicide.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Well, but the thing is, it wasn't mass suicide. They were murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Because, A, they had already gone through rehearsals.
Yeah.
Where he was like, this is poison. Just kidding. It's not poison. You passed the test.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, I believe a lot of them didn't even think that that's actually what was happening.
Yeah.
And then additionally, you're surrounded by armed guards. So it's either choose to die or we'll choose for you.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody had a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
That's
like
awful.
918 people. I know I'm from a smaller town.
That's a lot of fucking people.
My high school graduating class was 600 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is more than my graduating class. No, I think my graduating class was less than that. I think it was 300.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's more than my graduating class. My graduating class was fucking huge.
How many was yours?
I think it was close to 700.
Yeah.
I don't know. The
Like-
fucking ceremony was like 6 hours, though.
Yeah, mine was, I think,
Irrelevant,
3
but
or 4.
still.
Yeah. The point is, that is so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I said, the biggest loss of American life in history until 9/11. Yeah. So that's Jonestown. It's really sad.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, it's a really big bummer. Obviously, I mean, I feel like I don't even have to say that, but I'm saying it anyways. Jim Jones,
Fuck you,
fuck
man.
you. You suck. Yeah,
Ugh.
it's like I don't even know where to go from here because I'm just
Yeah.
like, it just sucks. It's just awful and it's sad. And there were 150 who were 10 or younger, 190 who were 12 or younger, and 304 were 17 or younger.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, a lot.
Yeah. Well, I
God, what a bummer.
yeah, like I can't,
Fuck.
ugh. I can't believe
And they all
too,
died.
There were 33 survivors.
Did they not take the poison?
Or
or they were on the plane?
No. I think on the plane there were like 10 survivors. Oh, bad research, Sage. I don't know.
It's okay.
But no,
Sorry, these are unexpected questions.
no, that's okay. How I think they did. I think they just didn't take enough poison. How many survived?
They just got sick, or they were girthy.
Or they were girthy. Fat bitches only. Okay, so 11 managed to escape by fleeing through the jungle. Yeah, 11 survived by fleeing through the jungle. Doesn't say anything about the other ones. I think that not enough poison. I think I read that.
Fair enough. Thick bitches for the win.
Thick bitches for the win. Yeah. So let's leave it behind. Let's leave that bullshit behind.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
rotten.
Very rotten indeed.
Oh, God, I said I'd stop saying that.
No, keep saying it. It's so cute. So guys, what do you think of that? Is this the kind of quality content you come here for? That was a joke, but it is actually the kind of quality content you come here for, so shame on you. Perhaps we should...
A happy?
A happy, yeah.
A happy? I'm actually prepared. I have my happy this
Perfect,
week.
because I have not, so I will use this time. What's yours?
So, I am not an anime bitch. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out here.
All right, where is this going? Actually, I know exactly where this is going.
So, I don't watch anime. I've never really been into anime. Technically, it's not anime. Nico looked it up, and it's manga or manga, however the fuck you say it. I'm not proficient in this yet, so don't come for my...
I don't speak
my verbiage
yet,
please. I don't speak anime yet, so give me a little while.
Which one is it? What are you watching?
So I already finished it.
What
it's
did you
so
watch?
fucking good. It's a show on Netflix. It's called Alice in Borderland.
Okay, I have not watched it, but I have seen.
It is so good. Nico and I finished it in like 2 days. It's like basically like, I don't know how to explain it without giving a lot away, but basically these guys like,
or a manga, whatever.
yeah, it's a Japanese
I thought it was
drama.
live action.
It is live action.
Oh, I understand. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's not an anime then, because anime is
Yeah.
cartoon.
Don't say that. Anime people hate that.
Okay, anime is animated. Are we happy?
I know. They
Fucking
don't like
anime
it being
people.
called cartoons.
Cartoon. That's what it is.
Yeah, but it's called Alice in Borderland. It's super fucking good. It's about these guys who like, basically like, I don't know exactly what happens, but everybody goes missing in Tokyo.
Nice.
Like everybody. They come out and like absolutely no one is there. And then they find out that they're in this game, and every game you get days added to your visa. If your days run out, you die.
Oh.
But the games, you can die in the games.
Kind of like that movie with Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried, where you have a clock on your arm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So basically, like, they're like wandering around, whatever. They have no idea what's going on, and then they go to, they see like these, like there's no power, nothing that is collected or connected to any form of electricity works. So their phones don't work anymore. Nothing works. Like cars don't work. There's no gas in any of the cars.
Interesting.
Absolutely nothing works. And then they're like wandering around trying to figure shit out, and they see like this building that's all lit up, and they're like, fuck, sick, let's go there because there's no power anywhere else. There must be people there.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's not, and it's a game, and once you enter the game arena, you cannot leave. Otherwise you die until the game's over.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But it's
Okay.
really fucking good. Like, I didn't think that I would like it. Like, I'm not into these kinds of shows. It is so good. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
My
And
interest is
now
piqued.
I've fallen down the rabbit hole
Of anime? Or
of these
of manga?
Japanese and Korean thriller drama shows.
like live action, though?
Yes.
Okay.
And now I've started watching, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called like something about strangers and neighbors. Something, strange neighbors, maybe something like that. It's fucking weird, and I'm only one episode in, and I'm hooked. It's really good as well.
I'm not gonna lie. Don't take this the wrong way, everyone. Japanese shit is weird. Maybe it's just weird to us, but... Or, God, to us. To Western society. Because it's just, like, so over the top, but not? You
Yeah,
know what
this
I
one
mean?
like has anime vibes. Sorry, Alice in Borderland. The other one's called Strangers from Hell. That's the other one that we're watching. But Alice in Borderland, like, the fight scenes give you like anime vibes, like where it's like I don't even know how to explain it. Like they like, you know, there's like over exaggerated like throwing people across the room
And,
It's
like,
got that
crazy
kind of vibe.
angles.
Yeah, but also I will say, because I've never watched these kinds of shows before, holy fuck, expect the unexpected. Because there was this one episode where like it's not gonna happen. Like there's no fucking it's not gonna happen. And it happened, and then we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, like they act what?
Yeah, I haven't. I watched like, because I think that the like romantic comedy ones are really funny.
Yeah.
So I've watched like 1 or 2 of them, but I've watched some animes. And yeah, I wouldn't call myself an anime gal, but I have seen animes. And I feel like it's a hit and miss for me. I either like really like them or I'm really uncomfortable. There's not really an in between. I'm never just kind of like, meh. There's always something going on where I'm like, yeah, that's really good. Or I'm like, I feel so weird, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's actually like I'm the same way, like where I'm like, I don't know, I feel like for me, like in like shows and movies, like this sounds really dumb, but like acting is like a really big thing for me. Like no matter how good the story is, if the acting is like weird and like feels forced, like I can't watch it.
No, I feel that.
Like it's just so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't watch it. But this one's not like that. Like I mean, I have no idea what they're saying, but I'm reading it with subtitles. But maybe it is bad. I don't know. I just can't understand what they're saying. But it's actually really fucking good.
My happy is I got my first tattoo.
Yeah.
Yay.
I know when you said you didn't know what your happy was going to be, I was like,
You're like, bitch.
okay.
Yeah. No, I got my first tattoo, everybody. Shout out to my friend Drew, who actually also has a podcast that I'm going to plug right now. It's called Dumb Smart. DUMBSMART.
What's it about?
Nothing.
Oh.
It's actually, so the episodes are really short. They're like, I think they're like 15 minutes long, maybe. They talk about funny stories.
Yeah, I would say that's lifestyle.
Yeah. Like, they don't really talk about, like, the other day this happened to me. But they just, like, will just, like, shoot the shit. It's a girl named Bren.
Like all of our rambling. If
Yeah.
you just want our rambling, check out Dumb Smart.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really funny. They talk about random shit. Like, this, so their newest episode is called Big Ol' Bucket of Ham.
Oh.
And the description says, we talk birds with lips, inspirational quotes that will change the way you see the world, and how girls have hairy ...
Ooh.
So, I think it's hairy buttholes. I think it's talking about, yeah. So it literally, they just like, I think they just record themselves having conversations and then just take the funny bits out. I could be wrong.
Oh, that's fun.
But yeah, no, it's funny. So if you want something light, I think the episodes are only like 15 minutes long. Check it out. But that's not my happy. My happy is not Drew's podcast, even though it is good. My happy is my tattoo. It's super cute, just really small. I got a little Saturn, a little moon, a little Earth, and a couple of stars. Yeah, it was very spur of the moment. Thank you, Drew, for making my tattoo exist on my body, because now I feel like a cool bitch, and nothing can top that. Yeah. So
And now
that's
you
fine.
want more.
I do want more. I was saying to Danny before we recorded, I was like, I'm already that bitch. I already know what I want next. So yeah, my mom also is going to tattoo school. She's starting at the beginning of February.
That's a thing.
Yeah. It's in Langley, and it like basically it just kind of gives you the basics. Like it gives you the building blocks, and then you do with that whatever with that. So it's gonna teach her some computer things and that kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. I'm not interested in doing tattoos, so I know nothing about them. Anywho, so yeah, that is my happy. Let me know how you felt about this one. This was a very serious one. It was a bit of a bummer, but that's what you're here for. So let me know. Where can they find us, Danny?
You can find us on Instagram at silenceofthehags. You can find us on our email.
Yes,
Wait, whoa.
find us on our
Whoa.
email.
I'm going all backwards here. I just
That's
got really
okay.
confused.
Switch it up every once in a while.
You can find us on our email at silenceofthehags@gmail.com. You can listen to us. Shut the fuck up. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts,
Sure can.
Spotify, YouTube,
Hell yeah.
Pocket Cast,
Keep it
Overcast,
going. Yeah.
Undercast,
Nice.
Supercalifragilistic, Expialidocious, Expialicastus. Yeah. Woo.
Did you say YouTube? Yes, you did.
I did.
Anyways, if you want to hear more not today. If you want to hear more, listen to our other episodes. We have many. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys so much. And we will talk to you on Wednesday.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, don't forget to enter our giveaway.
Oh, yes, sorry.
There's some
absolutely.
really cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, we got a fucking baby head candle that Danny made that actually went viral on Reddit. So
yeah, fucking wild. Nico posted it and it had like 15,000 upvotes, and that's like,
that's a lot.
I'm not expecting
That's a
any
lot of
that.
them. So actually, though, if you want to be hip in the now, that's how you do it. You win the gift. You win the exactly, for free. All right, everybody. We will chat later. Okay. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
Awful.